Hello, it's Alex from the Journal Corner. I finally got round to filming a flip through of my 2023 bullet journals. For the last few years I've been using B5 Archer olives. I can fit 6 months at a time, so usually use 2 a year. As well as being productive tools, I do find that a creative bullet journal means I'm more likely to use it, stay consistent. I really enjoy the process of creating as a way to unwind. So I've already shown a quick flip through of this journal on my Instagram at the Journal Corner. Today I wanted to go through with a bit more detail for each theme and how it was created. This is the Bookstack Archer and Olive journal. I always use a B5 for extra space, for decoration, and dot grid as well to help make my layouts easier to create. So let's take a look. I'm not a big one to have a lengthy annual setup at the start of a year. I did include a word of the year last year, and I normally keep the first few pages neutral. And here you can see I've got a notice board theme. I loved using craft paper to create a future log, but to be honest, I normally go month by month more than an overview of the year. This might be useful for school term dates, but that's about it. I did create a goal page, and looking at it now and reviewing it, I do feel most of these were achieved, but I am always hesitant to create a long list of goals and targets for a year, because I do find that sometimes if you don't achieve them, it can be a bit demoralising. This is one of my favourite pages to do each year at the start of my journal, and it's a summary of the themes for the year. So here you can see each month of my bullet journal, I created like a mini overview of the theme and what accessories I was using, something that I work on throughout the year, try and remember to do each month, and is a lovely thing to look back on by the end of December. And then we're into January. So January I used the contents of the December 2022 Archer and Olive subscription box, which was a cozy cafe theme. Had this lovely vellum paper, so I was able to create a Dutch door and use it as a background. A monthly overview, as I would always include, and I actually drew the cafe here myself based on the illustration from the washi tape. This month I actually created some tabs using the vellum paper, but especially with the washi tape behind, actually a nice decorative touch to my pages. A dashboard page, which is a monthly overview, like a to-do lists, also thinking ahead to next month. In January, I created a memories and a playlist page, you can see, and then the weekly pages. Here I cut up the washi to create mini stickers, and I used a paper punch on some of the paper as well. I don't always include this type of page, but obviously in January I had space and time to create a farewell for the month. And then we're on to February. So February, I did do a Valentine's theme. This was a love letter theme. I do normally avoid doing a romantic theme in February, but this one was so much fun with all the little envelopes. And I used a lot of coloured paper and a stencil from Daisy to cut here and create envelopes as a Dutch door edge. Again, a dashboard page, which I wouldn't be without. I included trackers here using a dot pen. These are quite easy to complete, just try and remember to do them each day. And again, a highlights page. And then into the weeklies, which were a bit simpler. Last year I actually started to use ink in my journals and found it a really quick, easy way to set up my pages. So here you can see I used an envelope stencil and some red and pink inks, and then just used a pen on the top. Some journal challenges were included, and then a month in review page, so I'd sum up maybe the weather, the highlights, and films we've watched, any reading I've done, and sometimes I update my steps and sleep as well. So there's January's love letter theme, and then we go into March. So again, I was using the ink, obviously decided it was the way to go for a whole month's theme, and using a basic stencil to create these shapes. I then added pen, zebra highlighters here for simple shapes and doodles on top, also using the black acrylograph paint pen from Archer and Olive, and that worked really well on top, which actually meant that these pages were relatively quick to create. This was a Daisy monthly stencil, which I taped down and then added the ink for my monthly overview. Again, a dashboard, a mood tracker page. So this one maybe took a bit longer with the little doodles, but was quite relaxing to do. And then I could shade over each day, depending on my mood. Space for highlights, and again, a tracker, which I can complete using a dot pen. And then my weekly pages, carrying on the ink and doodle theme. And here's my March review. I really like this one actually, it came out really nicely. And then this was some Easter holiday planning with the kids when they had 3 weeks off at Easter. April's theme. So this theme was a picnic theme, and I used stickers from the Archer and Olive March subscription box along with stickers and washi tape from Under the Rowan Trees. This one I enjoyed being a bit different for me. I made the boxes and tables were all drawn without rulers and stencils, which made a change for me, and a lot more neutral on the colours scheme, which again is something a bit different to my normal layouts. Here's the weeklies. I love this neutral washi tape, try and remember to use it again. And then into May. So for this month, I took inspiration from the natural world. I was a geography teacher for 10 years, so it often comes through in my journals. And it was a great opportunity to use the acrylograph paint pens. And here's my monthly overview. So I really enjoyed making these smaller versions of my cover page with the different landscapes. Same for the dashboard. And then I tried a different type of mood tracker this month. So here I drew out the blank shapes with the numbers, which I then filled in throughout the month. And here are my highlights for the month of May. This was a card, one of the cards that inspired me actually for this theme that I held on to for ages and then had a blank page, so I included it. You can see the highlights page was at the beginning of this month because then I find I can add to it throughout and I'm more likely to remember to write things down. Here's a weekly column layout. I often enjoy these ones on a busier week. Another card that inspired me. I think these were from an old Paper Gang stationery box. Another weekly spread, again column layouts before the end of the month, and my review page for May. And then we're into June. Now June, again, I took inspiration from the natural world, and I used a flower press, the Archer and Olive flower press from a September subscription box, to actually press some flowers. This really represented the garden at the time of the year, and it was a nature log theme. I followed a couple of tutorials, I think, for the insects. I'm definitely not a naturally artistic person to draw them from scratch. So again, here we incorporated some ink. So here we use an Upsy Daisy stencil for this beehive effect behind the monthly page. And I did draw these again. I just copied, I think it was Pinterest. I found some insect diagrams and just spent some time drawing them, and I kept them in pencil and I kept them black and white so that they would maybe resemble an insect. These ones too, it was just easier to keep them just in pencil. I often mess things up when I start adding colour. Here's our mental health monthly quote for that month. And then some trackers again, with some pressed flowers. And then very simple, honestly, my 10-year-old could draw these insects, which I would then shade in each day for my mood for the month. This was a different page to create. So here we have watched in June. So these were all the TV series and movies. And in an evening, I would just find, as we were watching it, an image that I'd then save onto my iPad to print onto sticker paper at the end of the month. And then back to craft paper for my June highlights. And I added some stickers of flowers for this one. Again, that was the beginning of the month, so I could add to the highlights page throughout. And here are monthly pages. I created these tabs because I had some lovely vellum paper from Under the Rowan Trees I wanted to use. The Tour de France was about to start, so I included a page so we could follow that. And then the summer holidays were fast approaching with the children, often pretty overwhelming end of term. So I created this It Can Wait page, which was anything that wasn't a priority to do. Most of it ended up being left for September. I was playing around with the idea of a wildlife log as well, and the sharp washi tape was for an Upsy Daisy challenge to take a bite out of the to-do list. So this journal, there were some pages left, but not too many. So that was the first 6 months up to the end of June in this bullet journal. So thank you for watching. That was the first 6 months of my bullet journal from 2023. It's taken a little longer to go through the themes than I was expecting. So I will save the next 6 months, July to December, for my next video. Please subscribe so you don't miss that. And to see how I've started 2024, come and say hello on my Instagram @The Journal Corner.